Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Snow, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a couple of dissertations that I found very interesting in my preferred realm of study. They are not directly linked to that preferred topic, but they are related in a very close way. The first is a dissertation seeking the answer to what causes civil war. My preferred area of study is the American Civil War. So this dissertation had some very interesting information, very interesting things to say on that topic. This dissertation was by Suzumu Suzuki, and she wrote that the cause of civil war at this time is not really known. But if the scholarly community is able to discern what causes these civil wars, they can lead to policy that will prevent such conflicts in the future. Suzumu Suzuki cites a lot of research, mathematical research, census data, and such, that points to the fact that civil wars are some of the single most devastating conflicts that have been experienced in recent time, including her generation. Somewhere in the ballpark, Suzuki claims that 127 million lives have been lost just in civil wars that have happened since her birth. So these are big numbers. The American Civil War was exceptionally bloody, with the death toll ranging in the millions consistently. Some say 1 to 2 million. Others listing substantially larger numbers, 6 million, somewhere in there, which is a colossal loss of life. Suzuki states that there's an evolutionary process that leads to civil war. Phase 1 is conflict onset. To some people, the conflict onset for the American Civil War would be the issue of slavery. Depending on who you ask, it's either the issue of slavery or the issue of states' rights. There are many varied explanations for why the Civil War occurred. Phase 2 is conflict dynamics. There's rivalry that's built. So if Phase 1 is conflict onset, it's the issue is being found, whereas Phase 2, the conflict is intensifying. This would be the polarization of North and South. Suzuki says that Phase 3 is the onset of the actual conflict. By this point, we've already been rivals for quite some time. The issue has already been present with no headway in either direction. It leads to war, as we see in our own history. And the final phase of the evolutionary conflict process model posited by Suzuki is that of war termination, which for the American Civil War would be the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, which pretty much immediately thereafter led to cessation of hostilities, military hostilities if nothing else, between the North and the South. Do I agree with everything Suzuki posits? The answer would be no. I personally think that as a scholarly community, if we're able to find causes of a civil war, that will be helpful in preparing for them, but I do not think that there's any policy that could be made hard and fast that would stop civil wars from occurring, seeing as Phase 1 of the evolutionary conflict process model is conflict onset. Suzuki is essentially stipulating that you can prevent civil wars by making policies, but policy is what causes the war to start. For instance, the policy of slavery, the policy of no secession, policies. They don't stop war from occurring. More often than not, those policies are what caused the war to begin with. So I don't really necessarily agree with Suzuki, but she did a great job writing her dissertation. She brought it into a modern context. She didn't just leave us with lofty numbers and lofty goals. She made her dissertation very practical, this is the problem, what can we do about this? The second dissertation that I chose is written by, hold on, gotta find the name here, Sarah P. Lockhart. Sarah Lockhart is writing about the post-Civil War dilemma. What does Civil War do to the economy? What does Civil War do to the government? What does it do to the people? What does it do to state capabilities? The civil wars traditionally leave the nation that they occur in really rough shape. For instance, in America, immediately after the Civil War, there was a policy of Reconstruction that lasted for some time that pretty much dragged everyone to the brink of economic ruin, which is something you should seek to avoid. Hostilities between the cultural subsets of North and South did not truly subside, even though the conflict had ceased. But after we subdued you with military force, we made more policy. We took you out of the Senate, etc., etc., etc. It was a mess. Lockhart stipulates that cleaning up after a civil war is some of the most challenging things policymakers, politicians, leaders, countries, states will ever face, because doing it improperly, you're just sowing the seeds for another war. If you aren't careful, you'll wind up sowing a bigger seed of resentment than was present that started the first conflict and could possibly lead to a secondary conflict. One of the reasons this did not really occur after the American Civil War is everyone was so tired of fighting. They just wanted it all to stop. That was why, after Lee's surrender, there were numerous commanding generals that could have continued fighting, but elected not to, because they were tired of fighting, they were tired of war, they were tired of people suffering because no one could agree on what to do. And that tiredness, that exhaustion caused by that war, is ultimately the reason we didn't have a second one, because Reconstruction was just a disaster, and then the problems that would arise in the South over the same issues would create potential for another war, but fortunately, that wasn't the way it happened. I'm very glad it didn't happen that way, because I would rather there only be one American Civil War. Thank you very much. Let there never be another. Sarah Lockhart, I agree with what she says, because the delicate dance required to successfully navigate the post-Civil War waters, it is astonishing. It's a very difficult thing to do, to bring your country back to any sort of prosperity after you've forcefully subdued part of it. My way is right, your way is wrong, and I'm going to punch you in the face until I get you to agree with me. That can lead to a ton of resentment, not to mention the fact that you're attacking your own economy. You're not just going into someone else's country, like, say, in World War II, with Germany. We were attacking their factories. We were attacking their army. With any civil war of any kind, you're not attacking someone else's economy. You're attacking your own. You're taking it and going, this part of our economy is aligned against us, so we're going to have to deal with this part of our economy. So civil war can be economically ruinous to the point that a nation can't even recover, which is something Lockhart does present, utilizing conflicts in sub-African nations as an example for what kind of disaster can unfold immediately after a civil war. Lockhart did a lot of economic research and does not present this research in the most unfamiliar, friendly way. Lockhart uses a lot of charts, a lot of graphs, a lot of economist terms, which to her target audience isn't a problem, but to a stranger just seeking to learn more about the subject, I'm sorry, the camera's wobbling so much, good night. Lockhart is going to be one of your last stops on the train, because she uses so many terms and so many graphs and so much information that requires a pretty healthy knowledge of economics pre-existing to respond to. So, but other than that, it was an exceptional article. I just wish I had understood a little bit more of what I read. I have a fundamental understanding of economics, but not enough of an understanding to get everything that she was saying. But Lockhart did a fabulous job, so did Suzuki. I heartily recommend you read these dissertations when you have the time, because they're a really good read. They present a lot of quality information on the subject of prior to Civil War and after Civil Wars, which are both very valid for both my school of study and schools of study that just study like the English Civil War or other civil wars, like the Sudanese conflicts and such and such. I hope you all have a wonderful week. God bless. Missed it. Stop it! Ah!